One of the questions I receive from my clients is how to transfer funds in QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. Both have an extremely simple way to do this, but if you're unsure about how to do it, or if you do it incorrectly, you could be causing your balance sheet and your income statement to reflect the wrong information. Recording all your transactions is important to make sure that your bank reconciliation goes smoothly. Making sure each of these transactions are classified to the correct account will not only ensure your transactions are showing up in the correct accounts, but it will also make sure that your balance sheet and your income statement are accurate. You don't want to overstate your income by recording a transaction that should have been a simple transfer from one account to another. Today, I'm going to talk about how easily you can transfer your funds with one simple entry. Listen in to this week's episode if you are getting ready to start your small business, you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, small business owner, virtual online bookkeeper, or virtual assistant, and you are either looking into or are already using QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online to make sure that you are using this simple and effective way to easily transfer funds between accounts. You're listening to the Mastering Your Small Business Finances podcast, where we get straight to the point on topics that ultimately affect your bottom line. That's right, as an entrepreneur with a small business, money management, growth, marketing, they all affect your bottom line. I'm your host, Chris Ponick. I'm a certified public accountant, and I've been helping small business owners like you navigate and easily understand these complicated topics for over 25 years. I'm a wife, a mom, a grandmother, and a small business owner myself, so I know your time is valuable. In my free time, I make the best sugar cookies and have mastered an amazing chocolate chip cookie recipe. And that's not just my opinion. You're in the right place. I promise your time will be well spent here. Each week, you'll gain confidence and clarity while making a successful impact on your business and grow your bottom line. Get comfy, grab a cookie, and let's get straight to the point with this week's episode. Are you looking for a computerized software solution to do your bookkeeping? I highly recommend checking out QuickBooks Online. I've been using QuickBooks myself for over 20 years, and they really know how to streamline processes and make your bookkeeping and recording your transactions simple and easy. QuickBooks is one of the top software solutions used by small business owners, and I would say that over 95% of my clients are currently using QuickBooks for their businesses. One of the features most of my clients and I take advantage of is the option to set up bank feeds. You simply link your bank account to your QuickBooks account, and QuickBooks will automatically import each transaction into your QuickBooks file. You'll save a ton of time not having to manually enter each of these transactions. You simply review each of the transactions and make sure they're getting recorded to the appropriate account, and then click one button and they're in. Want to know more? Head over to financialadventure.com/QuickBooks and learn how you can save 50% off of your first 3 months. Welcome back. Transferring funds in QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online can be done easily, but if not done correctly, your balance sheet and income statement can easily start reflecting incorrect data. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the questions that I get from my clients about how they should be recording the transfer of funds in QuickBooks. First, I want to start by clearing one common misunderstanding I see many clients struggle with when it comes to transferring funds in QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. With either software solution, I want you to be crystal clear that when you record your transfer in QuickBooks, it is not actually making the bank transfer in your account where you do your banking. Don't get confused and think that if you make the transfer in QuickBooks, that this is actually moving your money from your bank accounts that you have at your banking institution. You'll need to log into your online banking or go to your bank to have any funds moved from one of your bank accounts to another. QuickBooks is only recording the transactions that you are making with your actual bank accounts. If you do a transfer in QuickBooks, you'll need to make sure that you have contacted your bank directly to have this money moved at your bank as well. Now that we are clear that you need to move your money at your bank and then record the transaction in QuickBooks, we'll move on to how this gets recorded in QuickBooks. There are many different ways that you can record these transfers in QuickBooks. So I'll go over a couple of them and then I'll talk about the easiest way to record these transactions. I want to talk about the other ways so that if you are currently recording them in these other ways, you can decide if you'd like to change how you're recording them in the future or if you want to keep doing it the way that you've been doing it. For this first scenario, let's say that you have a savings account and a checking account. Obviously, you will have each of these accounts set up at your bank, and you'll also need to have each of these accounts set up in your chart of accounts in QuickBooks. You should have all of your business bank accounts set up in your QuickBooks file, and you should be reconciling them each and every month to make sure that your balances are reflected correctly and that you have all of your transactions entered. If you don't have a bank account set up in QuickBooks, you can go to your chart of accounts and add a new account. It should be a bank type account, and I normally recommend that my clients name their accounts with a description as well as listing the last 4 numbers of their account so that they're able to easily know which bank account in QuickBooks they are using. This is especially helpful if you have more than one bank account. An example would be checking number 1, 2, 3, 4 or savings 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that you have all of your bank accounts set up, you want to make sure that you're recording all of your transactions so that when you're ready to reconcile these accounts, you already have all the transactions entered, and reconciling your accounts will go much more quickly. As I mentioned, for our first example, we're going to use the example that we are transferring $1,000 from our savings account to our checking account. You would first make the actual bank transaction by going to your bank or using your online banking to transfer $1,000 from your savings account to your checking account. Next, when you're ready to record this transaction in QuickBooks, there are a number of ways to do it, but each will require that you have both accounts set up in your chart of accounts. First, you could go to your checking account and record a deposit of $1,000. When you do this, you would use the savings account as the account to show that you deposited the $1,000 into the checking account from the savings account. Another option would be to go to your savings account and write a check to your checking account. This again would show that the $1,000 is coming out of your savings account and is going directly into your checking account. If you're using either of these methods, it's not wrong, and it's still going to get the funds correctly recorded into each of the appropriate accounts. But today, I want to make sure that you're aware of the Transfer Funds option in both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. If you're using QuickBooks Desktop, you can go to the top menu bar and select Banking, and then in the drop-down menu, you can select Transfer Funds. This Transfer Funds screen will allow you to enter the date that the transfer takes place, and it simply asks you which account the funds were transferred from and which account the funds were transferred to, as well as the transfer amount. You can easily fill in these fields and then click the Save and Close button, and your transaction is now entered into both of your bank accounts in QuickBooks. If you're using QuickBooks Online, you can simply click on the plus New Transaction button and then select Transfer under the Other column. Similar to the QuickBooks Desktop transfer screen, you are able to enter the account that the funds were transferred from and the account the funds were transferred to, as well as the date and the transferred amount. And then you can click on the Save and Close button to record your transfer. As you can see, this one screen can take the place of doing a deposit or recording a payment from one bank account to another. I like that it's so simple and straightforward so that you can easily tell which account you need to enter to have the transaction reflected correctly. It also eliminates the duplication of the entry. Once you have made the transfer in QuickBooks, there are no other entries needed since you are recording both the account the money is coming from and the account the money is going to. Often people will record 2 entries to do this, and then they have duplicate entries, which causes confusion when they're doing their bank reconciliations, and their balance sheet and their income statements are reflecting the wrong information. If you're using bank feeds in QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online, you'll see the transaction come through your bank feed. If you already have this transfer recorded, you'll be able to simply match the bank feed transaction to this transfer that you have already recorded. I do want to mention one other thing when it comes to recording transfers of funds. I've seen clients record these transfers from one account to another as income, and you don't want to do this. If you need to record a deposit and the funds are coming from another account or even from you personally, make sure that you are not recording these amounts as income. When you record an item as income, it increases your income on your income statement or your profit and loss report, which will increase your taxable income. If the funds are truly from another bank account or from you personally, make sure that they are reflected as coming from that bank account or you personally. When you do this, it will not impact your income statement, and you will be able to ensure your income statement is truly reflecting only your taxable income. Bookkeeping doesn't have to be stressful, and I'm here to help make sure that you're doing everything you can to keep your bookkeeping stress-free. Whether you're doing your own bookkeeping for your business or you're doing bookkeeping for multiple businesses, make sure that you take advantage of my 5 essentials for stress-free bookkeeping. You can grab this free guide by going to financialadventure.com/5essentials. That's the number 5 ESSENTIALS. I'll post a link where you're listening to this podcast so that you can make sure you're following these guidelines for stress-free bookkeeping. You can also find it in the show notes for this podcast. All right, to recap this episode. Number 1, transferring funds in QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online can be done easily, but if it's not done correctly, your balance sheet and your income statement can easily start reflecting incorrect data. Number 2, when you record your transfer in QuickBooks, it's not actually making the bank transfer in your account where you do your banking. Don't get confused and think that if you're making a transfer in your QuickBooks file, that this is actually moving your money from your bank accounts you have at your banking institution. Number 3, there are many different ways that you can record these transfers in QuickBooks. Number 4, you'll need to make sure that each of your accounts are set up in your chart of accounts in QuickBooks. You should have all your business bank accounts set up in your QuickBooks file, and you should be reconciling them each month. Number 5, to record a transfer, you could go to your checking account and record a deposit from the account that it's coming from. Number 6, another option is to go to your savings account and write a check to the account that it's going to. In the example we did on this podcast today, you would go to your checking account to record a deposit coming from your savings account, or you could go to your savings account and write a check going into your checking account. Number 7, the transfer funds option in both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online is an easy way to transfer funds. This transfer funds screen will allow you to enter the date that the transfer takes place, and it asks you which account the funds were transferred from and which account the funds were transferred to, as well as the transfer amount and the date. Once you hit Save and Close, the transfer is now entered into both of your bank accounts in QuickBooks with one transaction. Number 8, you'll notice that doing the transfer funds screen can take the place of doing a deposit or recording a payment from one bank account to another. It's so simple and straightforward, and it also eliminates the duplication of entries. Number 9, if you're using bank feeds in QuickBooks, you will see the transaction come through your bank feed. If you already have this transfer recorded, you'll be able to easily match the bank transaction to the transfer that you have already recorded. Number 10, make sure you don't record transfers from one account to another as income. When you record an item as income, it will increase your income on your income statement or your profit and loss report, which will increase your taxable income. And if the funds are truly from another bank account or from you personally, make sure that they're reflected as coming from those accounts rather than your income account. And you know I'm going to ask, what's at least one thing that you will take away from this episode that will help your business succeed and grow your bottom line? If you need some accountability, join our private Facebook community and post your action item. We'd love to support you. Thanks for taking the time to tune into this episode of Mastering Your Small Business Finances. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed creating it for you, I'd love for you to give it a 5-star rating and subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Visit financialadventure.com for the show notes, links from this episode, and while you're there, leave a comment if you have a topic you're interested in learning more about that affects your bottom line. If you're looking for a community where you can ask questions and get feedback about your small business, join my private Facebook group. You can find the links to this group and more on financialadventure.com. And remember, any financial information shared on this podcast is not to be considered professional, financial, or tax advice and should not be solely relied upon. Please consult your CPA or tax advisor for an opinion on your specific circumstances. I'm looking forward to having you tune in next time. Until then, dream big, follow your heart, and love what you do.